What is a module? Module is the heading of your course, okay, as CA CPT, CA Foundation, or CA IPCC and CA Final. Okay, these can be the module, and under those module you will give sub modules as study material, then amendments and all. Yes, did you understand what are modules and sub modules? Should you, can want me to show the website of ICA?
So what is couple modules, sir?
Okay, what is couple modules? We will see the website now. ICA's website. Wow, they have updated the website. See now, the modules here are home, overview, committees, members, students, resources, and e-services. These are the modules of this website. In this students, we have BOS Knowledge Portal. This is a sub-module. You will click on this sub-module. Now, under this sub-module, again, we have modules and sub-modules. But what we have done is, for this old scheme of education and training, and then this new scheme of education and training, we have clubbed together. Okay, we have coupled these modules and we have displayed it under one sub module here, which is BOS Knowledge Portal. So when you are coupling such modules, we will call it as a couple module. Okay, now in this students, we also have in this e-services, we have the student services. Here we have the entry level forms, foundation and intermediate direct entry. So this is basically the data requirement. If you want to enroll into the course, what is the data requirement? You need to fill this entry level forms for the. So this is basically what we saw is what we saw the architectural design. If you want to prepare a website like ICAI, you can copy its architectural design. Yes, have you understood now what is architectural design?
Yes, sir.
Yes, am I explaining it better than yesterday? Means I'm giving examples and all. Or is it like yesterday only again?
No, sir. Yes. It's very nice.
Now we will see the design of the data or information flow. That again, now information flow, what does it include? It includes input, output, processing and storage. Now first what we will see is what is the conceptual design we need, whether we need dress number 1 or we need dress number 2. So that is what we will see, what is the conceptual design of our system. First we will specify that, then we will understand what are the inputs required for our current system and the new system. Okay, now what are the inputs required and all, what are the system requirements and all, we have already done that in the SRS documentation book. What we will do is here, we will just refer to that book and understand what are the inputs required in the current and the new system. The main point you have to remember here is you have to identify what is the conceptual design of your system. Okay, for understanding conceptual design, remember those dress number 1 and dress number 2. After this, now we will design a database. Now we have understood what input is required. Now this input will be processed and kept in a database. Now we will also design a database. First, we have designed the website. Then we have designed the data. Now we will design the database. Now let's see what is conceptual modeling. Okay, that is what kind of database you want. Okay, do you want dress number 1 or do you want dress number 2? Okay, like that only we will have a long range of databases. We will just select as per our organization which database suits us. Okay, if you can remember, in platform as a service we had different types of database. Okay, now you said that database as a service is also a separate service, then why we are using database in platform as a service? The database that we are using in platform as a service, those databases are specifically designed if you are developing a application software. Okay, so on the basis of the needs of the organization, the type of the database will differ. So what kind of database do you want? That we will understand in conceptual modeling. Okay, first we will understand what is the concept we want in our organization, and as per that we will decide the type of database. That is what is conceptual modeling. Then we will do data modeling. Now we are going to gather a lot of information from TPS, MIS, DSS, EIS, expert system and all. Now we have to make sure that only the data which the organization needs is being stored. So data modeling is what data is to be stored and what data is not to be stored in the database. Okay, because if such a data can be stored in an original or normal database, you don't need a special database for that. So you will understand what data is to be stored in the special database, then normal database. As per that, you will do the data modeling, because we don't want to keep the normal information or the ordinary information in specialized databases. That is what is data modeling. For example, you have purchased a 10,000 GB hard disk or 10,000 TB hard disk. Okay, and you have assigned it for the business purposes and for one specific business if you are manufacturing cars. Now you will not keep your database of or your personal information or the data of your other business functions in the same database. Okay, so what you will do is you will do data modeling. What data is to be stored in which database? Then we will do storage structure designs. In that particular database, we have decided that we are going to allocate this much space for this function, and for that function also we will give more requirements that these are the activities of the functions. From these activities all this data will be generated and this data will be stored in this section of the database. So that is what is storage structure designs. Okay, here we will see what functions data is to be stored. Earlier what we were saying, what data is to be stored. And the last one is physical layout design. till now we have seen everything logically, that if I have these two types of database, I am going to select this database. Okay, I understand this concept, I want this concept. So that is conceptual modeling. Then in this conceptual, I will mention what data is to be stored and what is not to be stored. Then which functional data is to be stored, and what are the activities, what is the data that will be generated from those activities, and how we will arrange and maintain that data. That is what we will do in storage structure designs. And the last part is physical layout design. Whatever we have decided till now logically, we will do that now physically in physical layout design, and we will store the data in our backup or databases. Okay. Here you can remember the components of DSS. We had the logical schema and the external level database. So this physical layout design is actually the external level database, and conceptual modeling, data modeling, and storage structure design, this is actually the logical schema further divided into sub schema. Okay, so this is how you design a database. If you want, you can link this question with the components of DSS. In that we have a point which is database. Okay, first, have you understood this design of database?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we will see a simple question. Now we will prepare a form that what will be the input and what will be the output. Okay, if you want to enter any information into the information system, okay, what will be the design of the form? For example, if you are filling your exam form, what you have to write there is your name, your registration number, then the exam for which you are applying, whether you have appeared for previous exams. Okay, so that are the details. That is the format of your input. Okay, what you are trying to do is you are trying to do an input. Then what is the output? Output is your final application document that will be generated and which you will print, or the hall ticket, that is your output. So that output, we will also prepare a design on your admit card. You can see again your name, your registration number, the exam for which you have applied for, the timing, date, venue, and all. So that is the output design. So for input design, remember you are trying to prepare you are applying for the exam using the ICAI's website, and what is the output design is your admit card. Okay, so now that also we are going to design. Okay, that form, that documents and all, that also we are going to design, because the system is going to be new. If we just continue with the earlier documentation and all, then you can't understand whether this is the current system or the new system. That is why we are designing it again. We are trying to make it better. We are trying to make it more innovative. Okay? Just like you saw the ICAI's website now, if you saw that website a year earlier, compared to the current website, that website was looking boring. But now it looks a bit interactive and innovative. Now let's see what are the points. Now, before understanding these points, remember the memory technique, FC, TV, FM. What is FC? Football club. On we will watch TV. We will listen to FM with the football club. That is how we will remember this question. FC, TV, FM. We will listen to TV and FM with the football club. So for input design and output design, if they ask what are the designing requirements for input, okay, these are the 6 points, and even if they ask for output, the same points are there. Only the content will differ now. Okay, this content is also logical. You can write it on your own, And even if you write this FCTV FM correctly, and even if your content in the point is a bit different than what is given in the module, no problem, you can write anything you want. Okay, both are correct, but write FCTV FM correct. Now let's see in input design what we have to see. The format. The format depends on the field value. For example, if you are going to write a name, then you can't write numbers there. Okay, so it depends on the field value. Then content. What is the type of data required? Will it require you to attach any documents, or it only requires you to write any data? That is what is you will write in the content. Timeliness. If you want to generate the admit card, you have to make sure that you are submitting the input within the time limit. That is the due date of submitting your application. If you don't submit your application within the due date, you will not get your admit card. Okay? So by timeliness, what it is saying is output needs input. So first do the input on the right time. Then volume. If a volume is lot, they are suggesting that you must use TPS, and if it is a bit unstructured and it is difficult to understand, then use DSS. That is what they are trying to say. Then form. Now input forms will be pre-printed, or it will be predetermined if it is uploaded on the website. Then media. What is media? What device you can use to do the input? Whether you can use your mobile phones, you can use your laptops. Specifically for ICI's website, you must have seen if you are filling your exam form, they request you to please use a laptop or a personal computer and not use a mobile phone. Okay, why they do this? Because they have limited the media for the input design to laptops and personal computers. They have excluded mobile phones because mobile phones are more vulnerable to being hacked, or viruses can be attached to files easily. Okay, so these are the points we need to remember when we are designing an input form. Now just read it for a minute and then we will see what is output design. Okay, fine. Now let's see how to design an output. Now again, the format of the output must be, it should help you to prepare decision, make decisions. Like when you see the admit card, it must be in such a format that you can understand that I have to go to this venue on this date at this timing if I want to attend this paper. Okay, it must help you with doing decision making. It must be helpful. It must help you to understand and take decisions. Then what is the content of this output design? Now suppose you have entered a lot of sales data into the database. What your output must be is the marketing person responsible for the sales, whether he has achieved that sales figure or not, what are the deviances or the deviations, what are the reasons for that deviations. So that is basically the sales analysis. So what they're expecting is in the content, we give a detailed analysis. So then the timeliness. Timeliness means if you have given the input, obviously we'll get the output. But here now we will talk about the response time. Okay, what is the response time is when you tell the website to give a printout of a document, how early the website must react or what must be its response time. That also you need to mention in output design. Then volume. What you are going to need for the taking the output, you need a high-speed printer. That is all you require. Then form. Now it can be either a electronic form or a paper form. It depends on the user what he wants. If he wants a hard copy, he can take a printout. If he wants a soft copy, he can just send it to his mail or something. Then media. It can be paper, video, or films. Okay. If you are preparing a video, the video will be output. If you are preparing a film, film will be the output. If you are trying to print a document, the paper will be your output. So that is how we will design the output. If you want to analyze these points in detail, what you can do is you can compare your bank statement directly to the ICAI's admit card. And okay, you can understand the difference in the details and the simplicity and all. Okay, so remember the technique here. We will go to the football club. We will watch TV and FM. What is FM? We are talking about FM radio. Yes, have you understood this question? Points to be kept in mind while designing input and output. Now, just remember this in these common points, even if you write the content in the answer, means below these headings, if you can, it is reasonable, only then it will be accepted. Try to make sense out of it. We'll continue now. Okay, so now we will see the system development approaches. Yeah, I have prepared this matrix. This matrix includes the features, the concept, the strengths and weaknesses. So basically this is a SWOT analysis of all the system development approaches. Yes, shall we start? Yeah. Do you have any query for the concepts we saw till now?
No, sir.
Okay, we will start now with the system development approaches. This is a now first let's see what is a waterfall. Waterfall is a system development model. It is considered to be a traditional model. Now what is a traditional model is, in waterfall, unless and until we complete process 1, we will not go to process number 2. And unless and until we complete process number 2, we will not go to process number 3. Okay. For waterfall, you can remember the process costing from your cost accounting, that first we will do process 1, then we will shift the output from process 1 to process 2. That happens only in case of waterfall. Okay. There will never be the case that we are transferring the material from process 2 to process 1. Okay, that will never be the case in waterfall. So that is why we are calling it a traditional method of system development. Then there is a sequence. Okay, we will do the sequencing. Process 1, process 2, process 3, and then finished goods. So there is a sequence in waterfall model. Then prior step completion is an important thing in waterfall model. This is the concept you have to remember for waterfall model. After this, now let's see what are the benefits of waterfall. Okay, less experience is required if you are using waterfall. You have to complete one process at a time. You don't need the experience of handling the entire system. So what you will do is you will just focus on one process, you will complete one process, and then after you complete it, you will move on to the other process. So for that, you don't need a lot of experience. Even a less experienced person can do it. Then as we are more focused on one process, we are only focused on a few parameters. it will surely give you more quality, more reliability, and you will also be able to measure your progress. Okay, so that is why we say in waterfall model, progress is measurable. Then it will also help you to conserve the resources. How you will conserve the resources? You know how much resources are required to complete the process. You are not going to invest more than that. Also, you can, because you are focusing on one process only, it will help you to optimize the resource utilization. So that is why we are saying it, resources conserved. Now, let's see what are the features of waterfall. Instead of saying that there is no overlap, we will say that there is some overlap. That when the material is being sent from process 1 to process 2, if the process 2 owner says that this material is not acceptable, then it can go back to process 1. Okay? But this overlapping, it is only to some extent. We will not allow this overlap after a certain extent. So we will say there is only some overlap or a little backlash. Then planning, timing, schedules, and all. That all these things are given a lot of importance in waterfall model. Okay, what are the important points you have to remember here is there is a lot of planning, timing. Then we will divide the entire process into process 1, process 2, process 3. So as per the planning, we have to make sure that we go forward or we move forward only when the prior process is complete or the prior step is complete. And then we will do the documentation of the same. Here, this documentation is very extensive documentation. A lot of documentation we are going to do. Why we are doing this? So that we are sure that we have completed the process. We know everything about the previous process and we can move on to the next process. So these are the features of waterfall. Now let's see what are the limitations of waterfall. It is inflexible. For example, ICAI told you to develop audit software that you can use for banking companies. Now we have started process by process. We have started building that banking software. After you have completed the 50% of the points, what ICAI will tell you is, Array, you have only developed it for the banking companies. What about the NBFCs? NBFCs are also banking companies. You should have understood that. Okay. See, now when in the earlier statement there was not much clarity, we were only referring to banking companies. Now, as per ICAI, now we are also including NBFCs. So what we will do is we will give up now because we have already divided everything in the processes. We have already completed more than the 50% of the processes. So we will have to do the entire thing again from the start. We cannot continue from where we are. So that is why we are calling it as inflexible. Okay, we are not flexible in our approach. We cannot just add objectives as per the customer's requirements. Then it is very costly. If you want to make changes to such an extent, it is very costly. Then there is only a slight backlash. You cannot go back to the entire process. You can only go back to a certain extent. And the problems, they may not be visible in the earlier stage, but they definitely will emerge in the next stages or in the final stage. So you cannot identify or make sure that you solve the problems in processes itself. So these were the limitations. Now in the module, for each and every concept, they have given at least 10 limitations, 10 features, 10 advantages and conceptual examples and all. Okay, per concept, remember only 10 points. 10 points is sufficient. Recycle those 10 points as features, advantages, limitations, and concept. Okay, there is no need because I have made sure that the important points are covered in this chart. So that is what is waterfall. Now I will ask you some questions about waterfall. Is calculator a waterfall?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can review the operations that you have given, but you cannot actually go back into that operation. After this, okay, fine. What are the benefits of waterfall?
Less experienced people. Then about it ensures quality, reliability, adequacy, blah blah blah. Then it is measurable. It conserves resources, and that's why it's measurable.
Okay. So the first 3 points, they are about concept. Then the next 4 points, they are about advantages or the benefits. Then the next 3 points are again features, and the remaining points are the limitations. Okay. Now let's continue with prototyping. Now for prototyping, remember the example of purchasing a flat. Okay. You have met a broker or a builder. You are asking him that for a flat. So what he will do is he will show you a sample flat first. Okay. Because all the flats in his building are obviously the same way. So he will show you the vacant or the available flat so that you can get understanding what is the structure of these flats. Then after you see the structures of flats, you will decide that whether you want that flat or not. And if you want that flat, what are the modifications or alterations you want to make in that flat. So this entire process, this is basically called as the pilot version. What is pilot version? You are trying to get an idea of the product, and then you are giving suggestions about improvement or modifications in that product. That is what is a pilot version. Now, if the builder makes the modifications, alterations to the certain flat, and again he shows that to you, but even after making that alterations, even if you are not, even then you are not able to accept such a flat, what will happen? Again you will give him suggestions for improvement, again you will give him feedback, and again the manufacturer or the builder will make changes to the product or the flat. Okay, so here what is happening is, here we are doing knowledge exploitation. Okay, there is a thought that we say that there is always winning, there is no losing, there is always learning. Okay, you never lose, you always learn something from your previous failures. Okay, so that is what they are trying to say, knowledge exploitation. Even if our initial prototypes, they are not a success, what we will do is we will do knowledge exploitation. So what is knowledge exploitation? The earlier prototypes which were not accepted, we will try to exploit, or we will learn something from it. So you have to explain what is knowledge exploitation so that they can understand that you have fully understood what is prototyping. Okay, now tell me, okay, on your own, give me example of knowledge exploitation. Okay, it is actually philosophy they have written in prototyping, knowledge exploitation. Give me example that in a situation you exploited the knowledge.
When a company is asking an employee to just do a pricing model or something, they are exploiting the knowledge of the employee to uh, do a pricing model, and by implying what all their requirements and trying to make sure that he does a model. So that is what you're trying to say.
Okay. Now the company has told the employee to prepare a pricing model. Now he will give the pricing model. If the company rejects the pricing models again and again, what he will do is he will ask the company why or what alterations you want, what modifications you want. Okay, as per that he will make those changes. Now he will not say that the earlier pricing models failed. He will say that he exploited the knowledge from the earlier pricing models. Yes, have you understood now what is knowledge exploitation?
Yes, sir.
Because it is not the final product that we are introducing, it is a prototype. You cannot expect a prototype to be a success, you expect a product to be a success. That is why we are calling it knowledge exploitation. From our previous failures we are going to exploit the knowledge. After this, now let's see the advantages. Here there is user participation. Okay, again and again we are showing prototypes, we are showing flats to the customers, so that there is a user participation. It is not like he is imagining things and telling you that I want a 3 BHK flat, in that I want a excellent interior decoration and all. If manufacturer is asking what kind of interior decoration you want, no, don't ask me that, I want just excellent interior decoration. Okay, that will never be the case. Okay, manufacturer will never understand what product you are asking. So there is a user participation. Then there is clarity and objectives. Do you want an artistic style of living, or do you want a simple way of living, or do you want a corporate way of living? Okay, so you can have the clarity in that objectives. Then again, we will do knowledge exploitation on the basis of, now see, again I told you three concepts of flats. On the basis of that, we will exploit more knowledge, that what all additions and modifications he is telling in the prototypes. And for prototyping, once you understand the suggestions of the customers, very short time is required to make such alterations. Now, building a flat and making alterations to flat, they require separate time. So for making alterations, we only require a short time. Now let's see what is the process of prototyping. Okay, we will continue in a minute. Don't go anywhere.